What's going on, guys? Magdown here with my first update video for 3.19. I've got a few things to talk about today. This time around, we took it real slow, and we are trying Tripolar Bear's Boneshatter Slayer build off of the Maxroll platform. I saw Palstron's video going over how they had set up their team and got all of those guys going, so we're going to take a look at that website. I'm going to share my thoughts on that. Then we'll talk about the actual leveling process and the experience of the league mechanic, all of that stuff. So if any of that interests you, hit that like and subscribe button and stick around. Alright, here we are on the Maxroll page. I had never used this platform before, but it was a pretty good experience. I wanted to try and put myself in the shoes of somebody that's brand new to the game, that's just looking for their first guide, something like that. So we weren't trying to race. I took a break during the first evening of the league and went and did some meal prep, made a bunch of burritos to freeze, and did some other stuff around the house. Then I came back and played for a little bit. Then I got tired, so I just went to bed. Woke up the next day, played for a couple hours, went and did some other stuff. We took it real casual and followed the guide as best as I could. Obviously, being the type of player I am, I did start, messing around with it and switching in a little homebrew as I went. But for the most part, I just followed what the guide had to say, and it was pretty good. So in terms of the website itself, I do like the way that it's organized, although one criticism I do have is that it's very wordy. And I suspicion a lot of new players are going to just kind of gloss over a lot of these bigger paragraphs and maybe not get the information. The synthesis of information might not be super high, but I could be wrong there. I like the way they have pretty good integration with being able to hover over stuff in the text. Very good. Cute little, build ranking system there. I do like that the table of contents button kind of follows you as you scroll down the page. Very nice. And then they've got these little skill breakdown things. Looks pretty slick, pretty smooth. And even with a little video that shows you what's going on. I mean, that's a pretty good touch. I don't know if I've seen quite this level of polish on a Path of Exile build guide before, so pretty impressive there. The Ascendancy Breakdown is good. They've got some notes on the playstyle and on the mapping, bossing, how to scale the build, that type of stuff. Where I spent most of my time, though, was the leveling guide, and there was some really good stuff in here. There's this string that you can copy here and use for vendors, which I just had never thought to do, and that actually helped quite a bit with getting move speed boots, grabbing the right thing, the right links, stuff like that. And for the Boneshatter build in particular, I was upgrading my weapon all the time, and so it was useful for that as well. The leveling guide is, again, it's pretty wordy, and so my only concern is that very new players are not going to want to read these walls of text before they can just get in and start playing. So they do have a lot of the coloration on the text is very intelligently done, very intuitive, but there probably could be some editing down of this that might make it a little bit more concise for the short attention span player. Where I spent probably 90% of my time was on these two panes here. You've got the tree, which you can open in a separate tab, and it's a really nice interface. You can actually come down here and cycle through how many points you have, and if you see on the screen there, there's this little green, it turns green when you're just going to take these nodes, and so you can kind of watch the build develop in real time. If you click the arrow, you can see where it's going to go. Very nice. I found this to be super useful. I did switch some stuff around, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Everything wasn't to my taste as far as which points were taken when and which gear was prioritized when, but as far as the skill tree itself goes, this is the best display, platform version, whatever you want to call it, the best tree resource that I've encountered. Super useful there. Jump back over here. And then these panels here are very nice. This tells you exactly what links you need and what gems. Very cool. And then you've got these cheat sheets that are just your act by act bullet point list. I found these to be pretty good. if there was any part of the guide that I would say I have a couple, you know, criticisms of, it's this section. There were a couple times where I got turned around, once or twice, where I just sort of read a few bullet points and then went to go do the thing. And again, because I'm so, you know, formulaic, I guess would be the term. I kind of do the same thing every league start. I use the same Word document bullet point list, and I was trying to just follow this guide. And so a couple times that ended up kind of getting me turned around. But I can't say that that might not be the case for a new player. But I do want to be as, you know, objective and honest about it as I'm capable of being. And it did seem like there was a little bit of an overemphasis on elemental resistance. I often found that I was not dying as much as the guide seemed like it was warning me that I was going to die if I didn't immediately cap my resistances before doing the next thing. But for a new player, that might be the way to go. I mean, you're definitely not going to hurt yourself spending an extra 2 or 3 minutes capping your resistances or learning how to do crafting at the basic level, stuff like that. So I guess that's a criticism, but it's sort of like a, you know, a softball criticism, I guess. And then other than that, I think basically this was the smoothest, you know, full guide scenario that I've ever done in terms of I've never played the build before. I just opened the website 10 minutes before the league start, picked my build, and just went. And I didn't use any other resources like I normally would. And it ended up being a pretty smooth experience. So let's jump over in-game and we'll talk about the build a little bit. Maybe we'll go in and do a quick map. All right, let's go ahead and run a quick, just a simple tier 1. If you look, this is literally, I haven't bought any gear or any of that stuff yet, aside from the 5-link chest. I think I paid 2C for that or something. But absolute crap gear. The stuff that I either picked up or crafted myself. In some cases, I just literally don't even have enough currency to pay for the upgraded tiers of the same craft that I have on here. Resists are capped with flasks. And we've got some armor going on. Let's jump into the map. Now, I wish one of you guys would have told me a month ago or whatever when I was making that stupid earthquake build and just told me to play this build. This is basically what I was imagining I was going to make with that stupid earthquake thing that I did. And so you just kind of hop around and do some smashing. Now, the guide actually said to drop Herald of Ash at this point, but I mean, you know I'm not doing that. I mean, I gotta have my Celestial Explosions, so Pride, I believe, would be the appropriate choice. Right now, I'm running Determination, Herald of Ash, and War Banner, and that seems to be working really well for me. And we just kind of run through the map and smash stuff up. Actually feels pretty good for literally just walking into maps. I would have to say this is probably, yeah, probably the smoothest that I've ever been able to just go from the campaign to maps. There was almost no setup. I didn't feel like there was no, you know, brick wall, so to speak. I just kind of walked in, started killing monsters, and there was no problem. And so, yeah, not a whole lot more to say about that. As far as the league mechanic goes, I did it a couple times while I was leveling. I would have to say that it's just kind of a skip. It looks really cool. I was very excited, but the rewards just aren't there. And I found that it was taking a huge amount of time to get through one of those, and you would get almost nothing. With the exception, as I know a lot of people have said, I did get quite a few essences. I was prioritizing that because I wanted the ones that you can use on two-handed weapons to give you a little bit of physical damage on there. Ooh. Okay, this guy's huge. Guess we'll drop a totem. Okay. As you can see, we are to some degree back to, you know, the giant arch nemesis mobs that are kind of a pain in the ass. But it's not too bad. Now, in terms of, let me select one of these here. I'm still just kind of, you know, click and go. Oh, I guess we're ready to open one of those. I'm not going to do that right now. Now I forgot what I was talking about. Doesn't matter. The leveling experience was actually pretty good. I would say not as good as Righteous Fire for the middle of the experience, like, you know, acts 6 and 7, maybe the tail end of 5. But that could be down to, you know, I wasn't prioritizing my resist as highly as the guide was, or I think a couple times I got lazy and it took me a little bit longer to upgrade my weapon, that type of thing. But all things considered, it was super smooth. The biggest surprise, though, was Spectral Helix. That skill's really cool. Everybody was bashing on it so bad in the last league or 2 leagues or however long it's been that I just wrote it off. But it's just hammered in from Diablo. And the damage was really crazy. I actually considered just not doing Boneshatter and instead trying to just do a Spectral Helix build altogether. Because I did play a Hammerden as my main character when I was a little kid. And it was like instant, the memories came back. And I was like, oh, I know how to do this. You have to position, you know, kind of catty corner from the mobs. And it's got a sort of really particular... you attack a few times and then move, and then attack and then move. And that was actually kind of fun. So we're going to have to do a build like that at some point down the road. But let's talk about the build just a little bit more, and then I will take off here and get back to mapping. All in all, I would say if you're a new player and you're wondering, should I try Boneshatter? Definitely. The skill feels really heavy when you're actually using it. There's good feedback, and you do get that fantasy of, you know, you jump around, you're stunning everything, smashing stuff, you got explodes going on. Really good, like, shock and awe type build to draw players in. And I think really the best, like, starter builds that I've played always include some kind of explode. I really do think the game is, I've said this to people before, I just don't think the game's good enough to play without explode. I think that's like one of the big draws for me of the mapping experience, is getting your character set up to where you can blow up. It doesn't have to be 2 screens, but any build where I, right from the get-go, where I can smash a pack and stuff blows up, I'm in. And so for that type of person, if you're anything like me, this is for sure a build that you would enjoy. And I think basically after looking through that entire website, the Maxroll thing, they've got some really good people on that team, and I'm excited to see how they branch out as they add more builds. I think they had 5 or 6 league start options on there. There was a Poisonous Concoction, I think a Lightning Strike, some other stuff, and they all looked pretty solid. And so that's my big takeaway from the league start is that this is the Maxroll thing is where I'm going to send new players whenever they ask me, you know, what build should I play for this or for that. They had it broken down into, like, you know, here's your mapping builds. You could select, you know, I want a mapping build that does spells. And then it'll show you which ones they have. And the builds look much more curated than some other places that I have looked. I did not see any nasty, you know, RMT type shit going on. They do have ads on the site, but it looked, you know, fairly docile. And I didn't see any, you know, hyper obvious scam type shit popping up on there. And so... yeah, all in all, I mean, if I was going to score it, I'd say 8 or 9 out of 10. You know, it was, as a, you know, build guide review, I would say I was pretty impressed with the way they had that all set up. Now, what are my plans? I am going to start smashing my way up to red maps. We are going to go into Harbinger. I still think that it's been a few leagues, and I've been farming that mechanic every league, and I still think the majority of people don't understand how you make your money from Harbinger, because everybody's crying about the Exalt shards, and I'm sitting here going, okay, you mean the, like, 1 or 2 Exalts every 5 days or something that you make, or, you know, every 50 maps or whatever from the Harbingers? No, I make my money from Ancient Orbs. So as long as they still drop the Ancient Orb shards, and as long as people still want to use them, that's where I'm going to make my money. So we're going to go into Harbinger, we're going to go into Shrines, we're going to try and get a Headhunter set up for this build here in the next little bit. I don't know what the market looks like. I'm not there yet. I wanted to do this update video. Like I said, I took it real slow And I just wanted to get the character up and running and give you guys my opinion on, you know, if you're thinking about jumping into the league here and you need a guide, and maybe you're like me and you've played the same build a couple leagues in a row with similar results and you're looking for something different. I wanted to, you know, give my views on that before I just start chugging into the end game and you know, going off the rails and doing the thing I always do, changing the build around so it's, you know, pretty different from the guide and doing my own strategy and, you know, all of that stuff. So I just wanted to get this out there, but I'm going to chug into red maps and we're going to get the Atlas set up, and then I will be back probably tomorrow with another update video, and we'll talk much more in depth about the league mechanic and currency and the market and what items I'm going to chase and how we're going to try and scale the build. All of that stuff's coming. I just wanted to, like I said, get this out as quickly as I could at some point in the opening weekend here. So, I am rambling. I will see you guys in the next video. If you're enjoying the content, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I appreciate it.